And now, from 12 Studios, this is News 12 Now.
Today is Wednesday, October 16th. Welcome to News 12 Now. I'm Kylee Dedmon. Well, last week, Brucepac's Durant plant recalled 10 million pounds of meat. News 12's Austin Hedgecoth guides us through the 300-page document listing some of the biggest brands and stores you should know about.
Brucepac makes and distributes pre-cooked meats, most of which wind up on grocery shelves. But the U.S. Food Safety and Inspection Service discovered listeria in Brucepac products, leading to a recall of nearly 10 million pounds of meat. Now the FSIS has a list of products hit by the recall, and it affects nearly every major grocer in the nation.
Food safety is a growing concern, and rightly, among Americans.
The meat was mostly used in products like salads, wraps, and frozen dinners, made by popular brands like Atkins, Good & Gather, and Great Value. Many of these products are stocked at chains like Target, Walmart, Kroger, and even Amazon Fresh. Officials are asking everyone to check their freezers and fridges for items on the list and toss out or return any they find, because eating the recalled food could lead to a listeria infection. Symptoms like a fever, muscle aches, and stomach problems may take weeks to show up. Pregnant women, older adults, and those with autoimmune issues are the most at risk. The Brucepac recall comes on the heels of a major crackdown on the popular brand Boar's Head. Boar's Head recalled over 7 million pounds of meat after listeria was found on products produced at one of its plants earlier this year, leading to a USDA investigation. In a statement to News 12, the FSIS said that when a recall is issued, the plant where the problem started must remain closed until it shows it can make safe food again. Brucepac said in a release that it is committed to a safe food supply and it will not resume production until the issue is fixed. We reached out to Brucepac to see how this might affect workers, but didn't get an answer today. Reporting, Austin Hedgecoth, News 12.
New on News 12 Now, a car crashing into a house in Sherman this morning may have been caused by a medical episode. This happened just after 9 on North Broughton Street near Scott Circle. No one was injured and criminal charges are not expected. And we have another update from the Fannin County crash. We now know the names of the 5 people killed. They are listed here. Take a good look at your screen. Another 30-year-old passenger in one of the cars was flown into a Plano hospital in critical condition. The crash happened on Highway 121 Monday evening between Bonham and Trenton. Texas DPS says 30-year-old Chiranjeevi Rajini of Capel tried to pass another vehicle in a no passing zone. His car then hit an oncoming SUV head-on, and both vehicles caught on fire. The crash was the second one this month in Fannin County that has resulted in 5 deaths. And in Denison, police are searching for a man who took off after a passenger was thrown from his speeding motorcycle. Take a good look at your screen here at these pictures. This happened around 2 Saturday morning at the intersection of Bond Street and Armstrong Avenue. The passenger was seriously injured. If you know who this man is or if you've seen him, contact Denison Police.
It was a chilly one across Texoma this morning, with many of us in the 30s and 40s, believe it or not. And yeah, actually we had a couple locations like Ada and Atoka, for example, getting their first freeze of the season. Of course, a light frost elsewhere across a good chunk of southern Oklahoma. So it was a cold one. That just goes to show the strength of this front, because look at this. This afternoon we are still into the 50s. Even with abundant sunshine. So we are very chilly out there and notably colder than yesterday. A lot of locations running anywhere from about 15 to almost 25 degrees colder. In fact, also is getting a bit breezy. We were expecting those winds to kind of die down, but they are starting to pick up here out of the east. So that is also going to elevate our fire danger as well. But all in all, it's going to be a beautiful fall afternoon, especially if you want to get out and enjoy maybe a pumpkin patch or a corn maze, something like that. No, we actually have another chance of some patchy frost overnight tonight. Had high fire danger lingering. Do we have any rain on the way? We'll let you know the full forecast coming up. Till then, back to you, Kylie.
All right, thank you, Brian. Last month, the story that aired on KOSU Public Radio discussed the ethics of Oklahoma House Representative J.J. Humphrey concerning a potential solar farm in southeast Oklahoma. The Republican from Lane feels the station painted him in a bad light. News 12's Olivia Thompson has our story.
Nearly a month ago, KOSU Radio published and aired a near 5-minute story about the ethics of J.J. Humphrey potentially profiting from a solar farm in Daisy, Oklahoma.
KOSU contacted me about a solar project that was happening in Daisy, Oklahoma. The first thing they got wrong was that's not in my district.
But Humphrey says this unincorporated community in Atoka is no longer within his district's lines. The article says Humphrey summoned participants in Daisy to a private meeting about land the solar farm is asking to lease for $800 per acre.
I don't have the power to summons people. I asked people if they wanted to come to discuss whether this would be a good project for us to be involved in.
I asked what he means by us.
I was there on behalf of my mother. My brother was there on behalf of my mom. And I made a statement that, we could profit from this. Down the road, if something was to happen to my mom, yes, I would profit. I've got skin in the game.
That's 130 acres. A week after the story aired on KOSU, Humphrey issued a press release titled "Liar, Liar, Pants on Fire," saying he intended to sue the reporter and the station. Humphrey says it's hard to prove the reporter knew he was sharing false information and that KOSU declined to publish a retraction. In studio, Olivia Thompson, News 12.
One Oklahoman woman is dead and another injured in Hawaii. They were two of the three tourists dragged out to sea by a strong surf yesterday. Honolulu Ocean Safety reports that waves were 6 to 8 feet when the tragedy happened. A 63-year-old man from California died at the scene. The 72-year-old woman from Oklahoma was taken to the hospital in critical condition, where she was later pronounced dead. And the other woman from Oklahoma is hospitalized in serious condition. Hawaiian authorities say the closest lifeguard tower was about a half-mile away. A high surf advisory remains in effect, with waves of 15 to 20 feet possible. Yesterday, a judge ruled that the East Texas death row inmate's execution will happen tomorrow. Robert Roberson was sentenced to death in 2003 for the death of his 2-year-old daughter. Yesterday's hearing argued that the execution should be stopped because Judge Deborah Evans, who oversaw the original case, did not follow proper retirement procedure. However, in the hearing, Judge Alfonso Charles ruled that Evans followed the process correctly. The execution continues to be set for tomorrow. Well, today, special counsel Jack Smith is trying to stop a new Supreme Court ruling from applying to former President Donald Trump's election interference case. The ruling narrowed how the Justice Department could use a felony obstruction charge to prosecute January 6 rioters. As a result, obstruction charges against a handful of the defendants were dropped. Trump's legal team said the same should apply to the former president and asked to have all of his charges dismissed. Smith argues Trump's obstruction charge should stand because of his push to have fraudulent electoral college votes certified. He said that links his actions on January 6 directly to his efforts to obstruct the certification proceeding. Well, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky presented a victory plan to Ukraine's parliament today. The first point in Zelensky's 5-point plan is letting Ukraine into NATO while the fighting continues. Zelensky also repeated his recent claims that North Korea, Iran, and China are aiding Moscow. Other aspects of the plan include continued striking of targets on Russian soil. Zelensky's presentation to parliament comes during a break moment in Ukraine. The country's military is suffering losses among the Eastern Front. And the U.S. is warning Israel to let more humanitarian aid into Gaza or face the consequences. In a letter to Israeli leaders, the Biden administration warns it could cut off military aid if the situation doesn't improve soon. CBS's Remy Encino reports from Tel Aviv.
The fight for food is growing across Gaza, with hundreds of thousands of Palestinian civilians desperate for help. The U.S. says Israel slowed or stopped almost 90% of aid across the tiny enclave last month as its military campaign rages on.
Everything is stacked against us at this point. It's an absolute horror day after day.
The Israel Defense Forces released video showing aid trucks rolling into northern Gaza Wednesday, saying they are filled with food, water, medical supplies, and shelter equipment. That move may be in response to that forceful letter Washington sent Israeli leaders here in Tel Aviv just a few days ago, setting an ultimatum. Let at least 350 trucks into Gaza every day or risk losing U.S. military aid.
It's possible to get humanitarian assistance into Gaza. We know it can be done. We know that the various logistical and bureaucratic obstacles can be surmounted.
Humanitarian groups say aid is at its lowest level in months, with dire shortages of fuel, medications, and blood for hospitals. Israel's bombing raids have forced the closure of medical centers, shelters, and even bakeries. U.S. officials say Israel has 1 month to lift restrictions and improve the humanitarian situation or risk losing weapons from their biggest ally and supplier. Raimi Inocencio, CBS News, Tel Aviv.
The U.S. is by far the biggest provider of arms to Israel. Israel's military has relied heavily on American-supplied aircraft, guided bombs, and missiles to fight the war against Hamas in Gaza over the past year.
Thank you for watching today's News 12 Now. Make sure to subscribe so you find out why Texoma turns to us. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook, where you'll see more social media exclusive content. Want more News 12 Now? Watch us live every weekday through the KXII app on your phone or TV and through our website.